What are the signs that you are ready for a new relationship? Or what are the signs that you have healed? Because many times people just jump from one relationship to the next and they never really do the inner healing work to actually be ready and open for a strong, healthy relationship. So, in this chat, I just really want to talk about how do you know when you're ready to start dating someone or you're ready to even move into starting to be open to new love, right? And I think the first thing is, have you done the healing work? Many times we have been in relationships that have varying degrees of trauma, varying degrees of tumultuousness, or just, toxic behavior. Or even if it wasn't technically toxic, there are just certain things that we haven't allowed our hearts to venture through and to heal. And so what happens is we become this sort of wounded person who gets into another relationship expecting this person to do all the healing work for us. And really, it's not the job of your partner to heal you. You have to do the shadow work. You have to do the work on your own set of beliefs and emotions, and healing your chakras and healing your emotions and healing your mindsets to be able to move into a healthy union with another person, right? So have you done the healing work? And that just looks like, feeling your emotions, going through some of the trauma, revisiting some of the trauma, and asking yourself, have I healed this? Can I move through this? You know what I mean? What does this mean for my life? Going through the different things that maybe you have ventured through, and seeing, are you ready for something new? Are you not going to carry that baggage and project? A lot of times what happens if you don't heal is you carry projections onto your new partner, right? So healing involves a lot of the inner mental and emotional work to be able to be ready to have space for someone else. The next one is, do you really have strong sense of self-love? Do you really love yourself, right? Because you don't want to get into relationships thinking that the other person is going to complete you. If you don't understand that you're complete and whole by yourself, then you're going to get into a relationship being sorely disappointed. A lot of times people get into relationships saying, you should make me happy. You should do X, Y, and Z. You should da, 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 not realizing that that is your job. You're a divine infinite being having this human experience. So you're essentially God in human form, right? So is your potential partner, right? So the jobs of making each other happy, that's not really what a partnership is for. So understanding and defining what a partnership and what, that is very important. But really, it comes from understanding self-love and having and embodying self-love. When you love yourself fully, you have healthy boundaries, you have healthy coping mechanisms, you have healthy outlets to, explore, you have healthy ways of living your life that is with or without a partner. You don't need a partner to fulfill you, right? So what would be the point of partnership, right? It's just to not journey this life alone, to have someone to witness your life experiences, for someone to lean on when you are down and out. It's just a partnership, someone to help hold your hand throughout your life's journey, right? And that's really the importance of understanding the divine union, the divine masculine and feminine energy, especially in this human form. Even though we are divine, infinite beings having this human experience, even though we are God in human form, in this human form, we are sort of one half of the other, right? So whether you're, same-sex relationships or, transgender relationships, that doesn't really matter. But I'm essentially just talking about divine union, which is the union of the masculine and the feminine principle. And so when you understand that the masculine and the feminine principle are sort of represents the union or the complete wholeness in this human form, you understand why partnership can be very powerful, right? Does it mean that you need to have partnership to experience the union of the masculine and the feminine within your life? No, that's not what it means. But it's a beautiful exploration if that's what your soul is here to have, right? So understanding that you first have to come from a place of deep self-love, deep self-reverence, deep self-respect, deep self-worth before you jump and hop into another relationship is very important. Otherwise, you're going to be looking for this person to validate you, to make you feel whole, to do all these other things that you're not even giving yourself. You're not even giving yourself love and the things that you're seeking in a partner. So if you can't give it to yourself, why would you put that much pressure on someone else to do that for you, right? So do you love yourself? Do you really truly embody yourself, right? And then the third thing was just basically sort of what I was talking about already before, which is, do you understand and have a deep understanding of what real partnership is, what real love is, and what that means for you, right? Defining what that means for you and what that looks like for you and your relationship, future potential relationship, is very important. Because if you don't have an ideal of what, that looks like, what that feels like, how that shows up in your life, then you're going to sort of attract any and everything, right? So having standards, because basically when you're coming from a place of self-love, you have standards for yourself. So that means that you can also sort of want to have that be reflected in your partnership. If you treat yourself with love and kindness and respect, then you're going to want to have that in a partnership as well, right? Someone who listens to you, someone who can validate you, someone who supports you, someone who uplifts you when you're down, someone who understands you, someone who's there for you when you need them, right? Dependable and trustworthy, and all of the things that, we're looking for in any type of relationship, but more especially a partnership, right? A lifetime long partner. So, really understanding and defining what love means for you, what that looks like, how that shows up. Do you believe in a union? Do you believe in the divine union of the masculine and the feminine energies, and understanding what that looks like? And it doesn't mean it has to be between a man and a woman, but it could be between same sexes as well. But it's understanding that these energies are going to be played out in your relationship, regardless if you're same sex marriage or, heterosexual type of marriage or union, right? That is necessary in each relationship for it to have harmony. There is the yin and the yang, the push and the pull, right? And it both are necessary in this human game to really have a successful relationship. You need that sort of divine feminine energy, regardless of whichever partner is playing that out. And most of the time, we each have varying degrees of each of the divine masculine, feminine within each of ourselves in general. And defining what that looks like and how you want that to play out in a partnership is very important, right? A lot of times, I think in our sort of modern day society, a lot of people are, very hardcore on certain gender roles. And there's nothing wrong with having traditional gender roles, but as a divine being, especially, with same-sex marriages or transgender relationships or any of that type of stuff, you get to redefine what that looks like. But understanding that the core of all of this is the divine feminine and the divine masculine union, and those principles, and how that plays out is really up to you and your partner. For instance, in, so let's say, a modern day heterosexual relationship, the male could be embodying a lot more of the feminine energy, where the male is the person who takes care of the home, who cooks and cleans and minds the children, and the woman is the one who is the breadwinner or brings home money, right? There's nothing wrong with that if that works for you and your partner, right? So don't get caught up in these traditional, gender roles, thinking that the gender roles is what the masculine and feminine principles are. No, the divine masculine and the divine feminine is just energetic principles that is enacted out in our universe, right? And understanding what those are can play out in traditional gender roles, but they don't need to. And you get to define that in your own relationship. So making sure that you're very clear on what that looks like, a partnership looks like, what that real love looks like, right, is very important. And this is like sort of the third thing in really knowing whether or not you're ready to embark on a new relationship. I would say the fourth thing is, do you have the time, the space, the energy to move into partnership, right? Because when you're building a relationship, no matter whether it's a new friend or whether it's a partner, you're going to need to make time for this person, right? And you're going to have to adjust your schedule, compromise, and open yourself up to allowing someone into your space. Now, whether or not you want to live with this person, that's also something else you need to, define with your new partner, but it's all about understanding that just with your time, effort, and energy, do you have the time, effort, and energy to be open to a new relationship? Because relationships take time. Relationships, building them together, working together. This is a life partnership, right? So this is not something that's just going to happen in the snap of a finger. It's something that evolves over time. So do you have time? Do you want to make time for this relationship? Is that important to you, right? Because for some people it's not. Like, there are some souls on the planet that are definitely going to be loner souls who don't want to have a lifelong partnership. Maybe their lifelong partnership is with their dog or with their cat. You know what I mean? And that's perfectly fine. Or with nature, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. So defining if and when you are ready to, if or when you're ready to embark on a new relationship, do you have the time, the bandwidth, the mental and emotional effort and fortitude to embark on a new relationship? And also, I want to just add this, that when it is the right person, when you find the person that is in alignment with you and the partnership that you both see for yourselves and hold shared visions and stuff like that, it's not going to feel like a whole lot of work, right? Like, relationships do have work, but it shouldn't be feeling like you're going upstream, right? It should be like, oh, you found a partner and you guys are riding down the river effortlessly holding hands, right? Like, so when you find your partner, it's going to be work. Maybe you might need to, turn the boat this way or paddle a little this way to make sure you don't hit a rock. But in general, you're going to be going downstream together. So if you feel like you're in a partnership, or it feels like you're banging your head against the wall in whatever effort, or you're swimming upstream, then that might be a time to readjust on whether or not you guys have the same goals, have the same visions, have the same, core values and stuff like that, right? So all that is to say, when I'm saying, can you make time for this person, making sure that you're making time for the right person, right? So there's that. And then the last thing I would say to know whether or not you are ready for embarking on a new relationship is, this is sort of a piggyback on what I just said, is do you have the time, effort, and energy, but are you ready to sort of die to the single life, right? And with every type of life experience, there's always a death to a new experience, right? So when you're embarking on something new, just in general in life, no matter what it is, it's, whether it's a new career, whether it's a new relationship, whether it's a new venture, whatever, there's always going to be death that's involved in it. So with birth comes death, and that's just part of the natural cycles here on this planet. And so when you're embarking on a partnership, there has to be this level of understanding that there's going to be a death to your singlehood, right? So when you're embarking on a journey to be in partnership or to be in a togetherhood, you're dying to the singlehood. And you have to ask yourself if you're ready for that. Because a lot of times people go into relationships thinking that, I get to be, Miss or Mr. Independent altogether, and I can do all the things that I can want to do in my singlehood that I could do in a partnership. And although I'm not saying that you have to give up your individuality and that you have to give up, who you are as a person, there are some compromises and there are some push and pull type energies that happen in a partnership that you won't get in singlehood. And there's some beautiful things in singlehood that you won't get in partnership. So you have to ask yourself, are you ready to die to the singlehood? Is the singlehood more important to you at this stage of your life? And if so, that's perfectly fine. In our society, there's definitely a lot of pressure for people to be in relationships and thinking that, the grass is greener on the other side with the relationships, and the people who are in relationships thinking that there's grass is greener on the other side in singlehoodship. And, even though each of these different states have their positives and minuses, right? Their pluses and negatives, positives and negatives, you have to understand that, with each of these states, there's a sacrifice, right? With singlehood, you don't have the partnership. Maybe you are doing things alone. You don't have someone to lean on. Oftentimes you have to traverse life alone in a lot of ways, unless you have, a built-in friendships and other stuff like that. But I'm just talking about that union, the divine union of the feminine and masculine principles. You don't have that in the singlehood, and that's perfectly fine. But in partnership, you do have those things. But in partnership, you kind of lose your, not lose, but you can sort of sacrifice, or sort of not sacrifice, surrender the option to do a lot of things alone. Whereas like in partnership, whereas in singlehood, you could just get up and go and not think about who you have to answer to, or, think about anyone else's well-being. In partnership, these are things that you have to think about, right? And there's no right or wrong in this. This is just different aspects of the singlehood versus the togetherness, right? So you have to ask yourself, are you ready for that? Is that something that you really value? Because there's beauty in each and every aspect of your state, whether you exist in a singlehood or whether you exist in the togetherness with a partner, right? So asking yourself, are you ready for that? Because it's a beautiful journey to embark on, to have a togetherness, to, especially when it's with the right person, especially when there's love, especially when there's real love there, especially when, your roles and understandings of how you show up within your divine feminine and masculine energies within the partnership is well defined, and communication is healthy and all of that stuff, right? Coming together, definitely there's going to be friction, because there's these two different poles, two different opposite energies and perspectives that are coming together. But when they do start to meld together, it's this beautiful synchronicity and synergy that happens, in this beautiful creation of this sort of third entity, which is the unit of you guys together, right? And so you have to ask yourself, are you ready for that? Is that something that you really want to explore in this lifetime? And if that is, then you are ready to embark on a new relationship. So I hope that these tips and ideas are helpful in your journey in life. Remember, there is no one right or wrong path. I'm simply just sharing divine principles to help you along your journey, and the things that I've learned along my journey, in hopes that it helps. As always, flow with what feels good and let go of what doesn't, because you are divine. You're a divine being, and your soul knows exactly what you've come to explore and experience while on this planet. And remember, what you conceive is what you'll receive. What you expect is what you'll get. And however you feel is what will become real for you. So vibrate higher. And if you need help in creating your divine life, definitely visit us at divineearthschool.com/call, and just to visit us divineearthschool.com to check out our resources and all that jazz. I will chat with you guys later. Have a great rest of your week and months ahead. Peace, love, and light.